Thank you. Thanks for inviting me today. Let me just check. That's all up there. That's great. Right. My name's Tim Yair. I work for the Marches, the Midlands Net Zero Hub, actually, but my role is entirely based within the Marches, although I'm paid for by Nottingham City Council. It's a bizarre relationship, but I live in Leominster, so not quite in Shropshire, but I'm here purely to support businesses, the local authorities, and the LEP to deliver on the Marches energy strategy. So just wanted to quickly have a chat about what those challenges are like. So we have something called an energy trilemma. A trilemma is really a tough choice between three different alternatives. And it's particularly, it works across the whole spectrum really, but it's particularly important for energy. So the first of those is security. And that's obviously been in the news quite a lot recently, and it's the ability for us to access enough energy. There's two levels of that as well. There's short term, so that's to do with peak loads, and you'll have heard on the news probably this morning that the National Grid is still predicting there might be potential for some short-term outages of power over the winter if the weather is particularly harsh. But there's also long-term security issues, which is all to do with the transition to net zero. I'll come back to that a little bit later as well. The second one of these is affordability. How much does it all cost? It's important that we accept that energy is required for pretty much everything we do in our day-to-day lives. And we have to be able to access it or provide access for everybody to be able to access that energy. And the final part of that is sustainability. So how do we meet today without negatively impacting on our ability for future energy needs? So altogether then, that energy trilemma, it's important to find a balance between all three elements of those. You get one wrong and the thing falls over. It's like one of those stools, a three-legged stool. If you haven't got one of those legs, you won't make it work. So it's important that we get that proper balance sorted. So the energy crisis then, I think the first thing to say is it's not new. We've had this, we've seen this coming for quite a long time. And even before the war in Ukraine, which has had an impact, it was something that was really in the news. Last year, 2021, nearly 30 energy suppliers went out of business. And that was because of the increasing cost of gas. So it's not all down to the problems with Russia and Ukraine. It's something which has been creeping up on us for a while, and it's something we really need to get a grips of. No matter what happens with Russia and Ukraine, it's important that we do something. It's that war, though, and the energy crisis is impacting on all three elements of that trilemma. It's impacting on the affordability, it's impacting on the sustainability, because we're talking about more gas potential, or even reopening some of the old coal mines to power energy generation. And it's also talking about all three of those areas that we need to make sure that we get right. So the government has responded to this, as you'd expect, and we have had the energy bills that have gone through going through Parliament. Response to that is a little bit mixed, maybe. It's talked some of the right things. It's talked about how we generate more energy, but it's also missed some big opportunities. And the biggest, in my opinion, is that they haven't really touched at all on energy efficiency. And I think if we don't look at that bit as your first step, then it doesn't really matter what we generate. You won't generate enough to cover what's needed. So what can we do in the Marches? Well, the approach is the same really as in any sort of business or corporate saving decision, is that you've got to really think about how to maximise the savings. And the best way of doing that is to use the cheapest energy, and that is what you don't use. Again, coming back to energy efficiency. If you're not using the energy, you're not paying for it. So how could you do that? Well, measuring it is going to have to be the first critical step in that. You can't manage what you don't measure is another age-old saying, and it is so true with energy. If you don't know where you're using energy, you don't know where you're wasting energy, you can't possibly look to save that energy. So the best way of doing that is to conduct an energy audit. You need to find out everything you can about your energy usage within your businesses. The second thing is to then sort of look at evaluating the contracts you've got, perhaps. Everything has energy, as I say. It's a key part of everything that we do. So we need to make sure that we're looking all the way through your supply chain as to where the energy is and the carbon is therefore embedded within that. So you need to talk to your suppliers about this. It's not just your own issues. It's all the way down your supply chain. You need to talk to the suppliers about how the energy impacts on your work. So what solutions could there be? Unfortunately, there is no golden bullet, no silver bullet even. There is often the temptation to think all we need to do is put some PV panels on the roof and it will all be sorted. Not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily work like that. And there are a lot of other ways that we could perhaps look at doing things first. And that will come out in your energy audit. That will highlight some of the things that are important to do. So you could look at some of the dumb technologies first, before you even look at some of the smart technologies. Dumb technologies such as making sure doors are shut, making sure people are turning lights off, making sure that your fans are keeping air in the right parts of the building, rather than letting all the hot air rise to the top of the buildings. Then you can start perhaps looking at some of the smart technologies. There are lots of potential opportunities coming online now with smart technology and the Internet of Things. It gives you all sorts of opportunities to look at microgrids, look at how you actually move energy around in a local area. One of the major problems we have in the marches is our energy grid, the electricity grid, is particularly badly constrained. We can't just put loads of solar farms, even if we wanted to, out there, because the electricity grid would not take it. So we need to think about how we use that energy locally. So we need to match the demand and the generation locally. And we can do that using smart technology, and we can do that using microgrids. And that's how you actually end up matching that demand with generation. So you look at renewables once you know how much you're going to need and where you're going to need it best. But it is such an important part of our economy to get right. And I'm just going to hark back a little bit to what was said earlier about some statistics, because they're actually quite important to actually get an understanding of the importance of this sector to the economy. The Midlands Net Zero Hub did a survey, a bit of piece of work last year, and we've actually worked out that in Shropshire, the sales of low-carbon environmental goods and services amounts to some £743 million per annum. That was actually from before the pandemic, but I don't see any reason why that would have changed particularly. 250 companies are involved in low-carbon goods and environmental services in Shropshire, and that employs 6,000 people. So it's a significant part of the Shropshire economy. But there are still some identified gaps within that. There are a lot of potential jobs and opportunities still across the board, from engineers all the way through to office managers, to production designers. All sorts of jobs and opportunities exist. So that was. I wasn't going to talk about the low carbon environmental goods and services too much, because that's a different talk. But there's loads of data and lots of really interesting things and opportunities for training that's needed as well. Because in order to fill any gaps that we've got, we need to train people. So one of the things that the LEP is keen to do is see how we can support businesses in the region. And we've recently run a competition, a call. We put a £4 million call out for companies or organisations to come forward with projects that the LEP could fund. Pleased to say we have now sort of funded those 3 projects, and we will be there to I can't announce them all at the moment, but there will be a project that will be able to support SMEs and businesses across Shropshire to actually help them install energy efficiency and renewable generation projects in the future. That hopefully will start in the new year. But more information. Keep your eyes peeled for more information. But the LEP is trying to put more support and advice out there as often as we can. So do keep your eyes on the LEP website. We've recently put up there a portal which actually links straight through to government's announcements pages. So you can filter these on low carbon or manufacturing, or however you want to split down the support and projects that are coming out from government. So those there, that will show you the latest information that comes from government. But if there are any questions or support that you feel the LEP can provide you, or the local authorities can provide you with, then do get in touch, either with myself at the LEP or my email address, which will be on these slides that you'll see later, or pick up the phone, or however you want to get in touch, or through the growth hubs. We're all there to try and push this agenda forward. It is one of the big areas that we know that a lot of businesses are struggling with. As I say, there is no silver bullet at the moment, but we hope that with working with you, we'll be able to provide some silver, well, maybe not the entire silver bullet, but lots of little bits that will help you get over this energy crisis. So that's all I've got for now. My email and contact details will be on there when they get sent out. So please do let me know if you have any questions.